Yes, sir. Hey, everyone. Welcome to your Fielder's Choice MLB Pre-Lock Live Show. I'm your host, Devin. I am flying solo today, so we're going to make this a little bit of a special show, and we're going to take a look at the cheat sheet, which you should be seeing on your screen here at yourfielderschoice.com. As you can see, we actually made a change today. We just put this in a couple hours ago, the ability to switch between slates. With baseball, we're constantly getting early, main, late slates. So this is going to help for all of you who are looking to play all those slates. We're going to have them covered. They're all going to be in one spot. Super convenient. Very nice, very easy to use. So taking a look at weather first, we don't have really any rain to worry about as we look through here. No rain to worry about. We do have some wind blowing in, some slightly colder temperatures on the board. It's 51 in Boston, for instance. It's 78 in Texas, though, with winds blowing out. That's really nice weather, really nice hitting weather. Coors, it's a little bit colder, something like 47, winds blowing in. So that kind of has some lower totals for Coors, 5.3 and 4.8. That's typically when I have a Coors slate, you're looking at, pushing 6. So some lower totals due to that weather that are going to play a factor. And we've started to see the ownership really kind of change a little bit more towards that Texas game with that wind blowing out, the nice high temperatures, etc. So that's your weather. Moving on, like I said, we got the cheat sheet here. I want you to take a look at what we're looking at. Make sure I go in the right order here. Starting with pitching. So pitching is really important tonight. We've got a ton of options on the board. As you can see, we've got 5 studs on the board. You're going to want to play 2 of these. If you read our top plays article, Pete is really high on Glasnow and Giolito. If you look at Giolito, it's easy to see why. This opponent data, when we're looking at it, I mentioned this on the stream yesterday. This is based on Seattle's lineup, how each individual does against, in this scenario, righties. So these numbers you're looking at are a really good indication of the strength of the Seattle lineup. As you can see, they've got a super low WOBA, under 300 is really bad, a low ISO, and a super high K rate. Couple that with Giolito's high K rate himself. And again, these numbers are based on Seattle's lineup as well. So that K rate is based on how many lefties and righties he's going to see. So when we're looking at that cheat sheet, that's what we're looking at here. This data is based on those things. Same thing with his WOBA and ISO here. These are all really strong numbers. These are all really strong numbers. So I think Giolito, in my opinion, is the top play on the slate. Ownership really reflects that on both sites. Fanduel, he's simply too cheap here at 9,600. He should be very, very popular for good reason. Draftkings, same thing, very nice price. So that's a little bit of how you want to look at this cheat sheet. Again, you can come in, you can sort all this data. You can sort it however you want. Obviously by ownership, if you're building cash lineups, what I like to do is come in. Right now it's automatically sorted by DraftKings cash ownership. If you're a FanDuel player, you can come in and click it like this. You can see the projected ownership. Cash games, that's a really good route. You want to try and eat chalk, nail chalk, you're in good shape. So again, Giolito on both sites is the top play. We can see why with the stats. He's got a high K rate. He's got solid numbers himself. He gets a good matchup against a team that Ks a lot. From there, you got a decision to make. You've got a couple guys in really good spots. The reason Pete, and I agree with him, likes Glasnow is you look at this number, super high K rate. He looks healthy. When Glasnow's healthy, he is as good as anybody. And on top of that, he comes in at a nice price on DraftKings at 9,100 here. You're going to save nearly $1,000 off of Yu Darvish, a couple hundred off of Kershaw. Just a lot of upside here. The Boston numbers are not as good as a Giolito, but when Glasnow is on this game, he can shut down anybody. So that's why Pete's really high in Glasnow. I tend to agree. But if you're looking at the cheat sheet, really any of these guys are in play in cash games. You can see They're the projected ownership plays. You're going to want to play two of these guys, Fanduel, Giolito, and Cash. So that's what you're looking for cash games. For our GPPs, what I like to do is, big thing is obviously opposing K rates. So we come in here, we can see, you can sort it by that, especially when you can couple it with your pitcher's K rate. So Giolito, even in GPP, has a ton of upside today. That's one way to do it. You can look at, pitcher stats, really whatever you want. There's really no rules with GPPs. You could sort by your pitcher K rate, take a look at a guy like Freddie Peralta coming in at just 6,400 on FanDuel, 7.6. He's got a super high K rate, decent K rate matchup. That makes for a really solid GPP play. There's really no secret sauce to GPPs. It's kind of whatever you like to look for. But obviously, when we're talking pitching, we're looking for strikeout upside. So that kind of covers what you're looking for on the cheat sheet with pitching. All right, moving over to catcher, first base. The sites have made it a little more difficult on us this year. FanDuel has added in multi-position eligibility, which for building is fantastic. For cheat sheets, it's kind of hard because a lot of these guys carry a ton of different position eligibility. So keep that in mind when you're building these, that you have the flexibility now this year on both sites to play these guys at lots of different spots. Just want to mention that. So we'll start with Draftkings. We're talking cash games here. Again, we're sorted by projected ownership for Draftkings. It's a good way to nail chalk. Keep in mind that this has not been updated. It will be updated again here in a few minutes. Some of these numbers may change. Mainly what I'm doing today is I'm showing you how to utilize the cheat sheet. I'm not going to dig into the plays quite as much as we did yesterday, or we will on other streams. This is mainly geared towards how to utilize the cheat sheet. So keep that in mind when I update. As I'm talking, some lineups have come out that will change ownership a little bit. So anyways, DraftKings cash game. So we come in, again, we want to nail chalk. We're looking at Navarez coming in at high projected ownership. Really, all of these guys, are really cash viable. You don't have to lock a guy in unless there's like a massive gap. If he's looking like massive chalk, like if this number was like 33%, then that would be an easy lock. But he's close enough where you could tinker around. But Navarez makes a ton of sense at 2,700. But if you needed to save some, $200, even a guy like Kirk here, you could drop down to. So it's that same concept with cash games. Catcher on DraftKings, we talk a lot. It's a really good punt spot. There's very few catchers worth paying up for. Unless it's a guy like Mercedes who's been playing out of his mind, you could certainly play him here if you have the funds, or again, take the value with the Navarez, Kirk, etc. FanDuel, same thing. Cash games, going to come over here. We're going to sort by ownership. See, we've got Vlad coming in very cheap on FanDuel at just 3K. We've got Pete Alonso also underpriced on FanDuel at 3,700. This pricing is going to dictate a lot of ownership. It's going to, especially when the sites are different pricing wise. That discrepancies between the two sites tends to drive ownership. So that's why you're seeing a Vlad coming in here, pretty high projected on FanDuel, because that price is really nice. So now we're looking at this and you're like, how do I decide between some of these guys? So this is where you start looking at the meat of the cheat sheet. You've got Vegas totals here. Obviously, Vegas is good at what they do. You want teams in a high spot. So if you're torn between guys that are, say you have the funds to get either one of these guys or any of these guys in the 3K range and you're not sure, well, you could use Vegas. You also want guys in the top 5, preferably, unless you're punting. So here's where they're batting in the order. And here are these player stats. These player stats are 2019, 20, and 21. Once we get a bigger sample size for 2021, we will switch to 2020, 21. But right now, we are carrying 2 full seasons. So, and these stats are based on handedness. So this is Vlad Guerrero's numbers against righties. So he's got 346 WOBA, which is good. 167 ISO is okay. And then what we're looking at here is something called rank. Rank is 100% stats based. I do not touch a thing here. It is strictly based on Vlad's stats and the opposing pitcher stats. It's a really good way to see who's in a good spot. I really like it for GPPs especially. One thing though you do have to keep in mind is if a pitcher hasn't pitched yet, isn't pulling any stats, it'll skew this number. Or, Dunning in this case has a very small sample size. This is only a second year and only pitched a couple times last year. So this number is a little bit deceiving, but it is a great tool to use, especially in GPPs. Or if you're not sure between two plays, you can use that rank as a factor. And we will actually be changing rank to projections pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that. Again, you'll use that the same way. You're torn between two plays that are projected about the same ownership. You can use their projection as your tiebreaker, or the stats, Vegas order, really any of this stuff. That's why it's all there, because it's all important. You can weight it whichever way you want. Fanduel cash games, again, we're kind of looking at these guys right here. They're all in that same pricing range. You needed to punt the position. You've got some options here. GPPs, I already mentioned, I like to come in. Rank's a good tool to use. I also really like ISO. ISO is essentially power home runs. Home runs is the most upside. So if I sort by ISO, Pete Alonso, Dominic Smith, these guys are home run hitters. They offer a ton of upside in GPPs. So again, that's how you're looking to utilize this for your GPP builds. Cash builds, you're looking at ownership. All right, swinging over to second base. This has actually changed. Rojas is not starting. It's actually Pavin Smith, who is listed at outfield. So it will not be Rojas here. The chalk plays are probably going to be Simeon and Solak, because this Toronto game, the weather's improved, the wind's blowing out. So you can ignore Rojas. Again, the cheat sheet will be updated here in a second. But same idea we just talked about. You're sorting by ownership. For your Fanduel builds, come in here, sort by ownership. So like in this scenario, if it stays like this, where Simeon's this far ahead of everybody else, that's your chalk play on the site. That's what I was talking about earlier, when you have these big gaps between ownership plays. Like these two, if he was at 16%, you could play any of these three guys. But if he remains this far ahead of everybody else, that's an easy chalk play. That's a really good indicator that he's going to be super high owned. Again, coming in for GPP builds, I like to come in, sort by rank, sort by ISO, etc. All right, swinging over to third, same exact concept. We've got Vlad, we've got Escobar. This is another scenario where at the moment, it really looks like one of these two guys, but if things tighten up, you could consider some other options. Coming in over in Fanduel, sort by ownership, we've got Biggio, Vlad. So when we come in, we're this close. This is a scenario where you can let pricing dictate who you end up on. You could use Vlad at a different position. He carries multi-position eligibility. You could let the ISO, Biggio's got a little bit better ISO, a little more pop to his game. He's batting a little higher in the order. So if I was building Fanduel and I had these two, I would take the savings with Biggio. It's got a little more pop. It's got a higher rank here. That's where I would be looking at. He's got the positive splits. He's a lefty facing a righty, whereas Vlad's a righty on righty, which is why his rank is higher here. So again, that's kind of how you're utilizing this cheat sheet as you're looking at stuff. GPP wise, I come in. I really like him here, batting third for Tampa Bay. Really, really affordable on Fanduel. Makes for a fantastic GPP play. Small sample size, but he's got a lot of pop. Batting high in the order. He should come in at low ownership. That's how got a nice Vegas total. Righty versus lefty. Again, that's how you're utilizing this cheat sheet. You're looking at all these stats. It looks a lot more complicated than it is. Actually, pretty straightforward. All right, swinging over to shortstop. Again, Rojas no longer here. Pavin Smith is leading off. So it'll be Bichette, Story. One of those two guys are going to be in your cash lineup. Bichette's really cheap coming in here at 3K on Fanduel. He is the pay down option, 4-7 on DraftKings. Story's your pay up option. Coors Field in this case. Nice wind blowing out in this case. Same scenario. GPPs come in. I can sort by whatever I want. We talked about Corey Seeger in the top plays article. He's arguably the best player in baseball right now since the bubble last year. He's been just incredible. He's got a lot of pop to his game, surprisingly. But then you got a sneaky play like here. This is a really nice GPP play. He's going to come in at very low ownership. Again, it's a small sample size, but he's leading off. He's got a lot of ISO to his game, a lot of pop. These are the kind of things you're looking at when you're building your GPP lineups. All right, let's finish off with outfield here. We wrote up Joey Gallo as the top option. Not hard to see why with that wind, 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing out. Joey Gallo is a home run guy, ton of power to his game. Yelich comes in at a nice price, especially on Fanduel, 4K. David Dahl is indeed batting second. He's confirmed there. That's a really affordable piece to that game. Teoscar Hernandez batting cleanup here. So again, when you're looking at this cheat sheet, you can see like these are the guys that are going to draw a little ownership. If you need the savings, that's when you drop down into this range. Then you can see we've got these guys coming in cheap here. If you're torn between guys, that's where you take a look at Vegas, order, stats. All of this can help you break your ties between players, decide who you're looking at. Again, Fanduel, I'm going to come here. I'm going to sort. Make sure you utilize the ability to sort. It's going to make your life a lot easier. If you're a Fanduel player, come in, sort it. When you're building those GPPs, come in, take a look at, not surprising here, Rosarena, very small sample, but he did some crazy things last year against lefties. And again, great GPP play, sort by ISO. He's well ahead of everybody else. Again, Pavin Smith is leading off, worth mentioning at 2.7K. He will end up popping way up on this list as a leadoff, of course. Garrett Hampson is indeed batting second, Tapia batting first. So there is some cheap ways to get exposure to cores. This isn't a day where you're going to need to be crazy heavy on cores because the totals aren't that high. You actually have higher totals in this Texas game. Toronto's coming in at 5.4 vex implied total. You've got Texas at 4.7. The Rays coming in at 5.1. So you don't have to. This isn't a core slate where you need to jam them in. And ownership is actually showing you that, yeah, there's some guys up there, but some core slates you're going to see, this would be all cores, and that's not the case today. So, yeah, that is how to utilize the cheat sheet. Hopefully that helped. Real quick look at prize picks before we get out of here. Let me pull it up. Looking at prize picks quick, they still have some of the early games, which is kind of limiting their board, but it's still a solid board. A lot of plays here. As always, they're pretty darn tight with what they're doing. Joey Gallo set 7.5. I think he can hit that over. He's got a really good chance to hit a home run tonight, especially if you're playing him in cash. You can double down on the over on prize picks there. Pete Alonso at 7's in a decent spot for a homer. He could hit that. Rest is, these guys are good at what they do. So this board's tight per usual. I would wait for things to loosen up a little bit with baseball. And on the subject of prize picks, we are actually working on prize picks specific projections and throwing a prize picks board on the site. So you'll be able to go to the website when this is live. We are working on it. You'll be able to go to the website, click prize picks projections for your sport. You'll see all the plays that prize picks has that day and our projections for it. So just a little exciting thing we are working on that will be coming soon. Very excited when we do launch that. But yeah, that's it. Short and sweet today. We will not be live the next 2 days because there are no late games. There's like 2 late games each of the next 2 days. It's all early baseball. So join us on Discord. We will be doing live shows on Discord, most likely premium only. If you are not premium, sign up. We are running a crazy good deal, $35 a month for each of your first 6 months. And then it goes to regular price of $50. Listen, that gets you every sport we offer. We're even doing AFL, tennis. We'll be starting up with esports here shortly. We have soccer action today. We've got KBO tonight. We have yet to miss on KBO. Everything. It's NHL, all your major sports, basketball, of course. $35 a month is laughably cheap in all reality for what we offer, projected ownership projections. I would argue that our cheat sheets are the best in the entire industry. 35 bucks, if you're not a member right now, stop waiting. I'm telling you, you will learn the tools, you will make your money, you will make that 35 bucks back a month at least, and you'll be very happy. So join that Discord, come talk with me if you got questions on the cheat sheet a little bit more, and I can help you with anything. If you were confused by anything, I will be updating the MLB cheat sheet here as soon as I hop off, and we'll be good for tonight. So thanks everybody, and good luck.